Hello everyone, I'm Jack Ellaby from Friends of the Lakes. We've got an ambition here in Cumbria of creating and restoring 2,000 miles of hedgerows over the next 25 years. We have some amazing farmers, landowners and land-based contractors doing some great work with hedgerows all over Cumbria, but they're so busy running their own businesses they don't get time to tell their stories, share their learning and tell everyone about the great work they're doing. So this is one of a short series of videos we're doing so that we can celebrate and spread the best practice which is happening here in Cumbria. So we hope you enjoy this video and obviously pick up some tips, and importantly send it on to your neighbouring farmers, your peers and others who you think might be interested in sharing it.
So my name is Richard Park from Low Sizergh Farm near Kendal in Cumbria, and we farm 340 acres. We have 140 crossbred dairy cows and around 100 sheep. We farm an organic system. We also have a farm shop and cafe and a small caravan and campsite, and then we host a mental health charity called Growing Well. So we've been here 45 years. My parents came here, and the hedges are an important part of the landscape in this area. We do have a few walls, but it's predominantly hedges. Some of them will be ancient hedges, some of them very recently planted, and they've been managed in various ways. We've always laid a few hedges and been involved in schemes, many schemes over the years. They've formed an important part of our system because we graze the cows during the summer, and we find that the hedges provide some good shelter. We have always been interested in the sort of wildlife aspect of the farm. For many years we've changed the way that we manage the hedges fairly recently, really. Historically we would have left some to grow up to lay, and then the others we would have just cut with the flail hedge cutter. And a few years ago we decided that we would let the majority of the hedges go just to get them a little bit bigger, and we've got involved in a mid-tier stewardship scheme, so that's paying for laying the hedges. The way we manage the hedges has changed this last few years. So we manage them on a cycle. So what we did, we sort of stopped cutting the majority of the hedges, certainly all the internal ones. We still had to cut the roadside ones for safety and what have you. But what we found was by not cutting them, they actually grew that fast, and we can only lay so much a year. We do the laying ourselves. There's 3 of us on the farm that can lay hedges. It's an absolutely fantastic winter job, actually. We say it sort of stops us getting yard fever, because a dairy farm, you're always some days you'll never get out of the yard, and it's a very routine. But the hedge laying breaks that up. So what we do now is we've allowed them to grow up, and we'll probably lay about 400 metres a year, and then that's probably on like a 15-year cycle, somewhere in there. It'll depend a bit on the hedge and where it is. And then the ones that we cut, that we're cutting, we will not cut down to the same point every year. So we'll allow sort of 6 to 8 inches of regrowth a year, and we found that allows plants like blackthorn to flower. We get more berries in the autumn for the wildlife, and the bigger hedges are a really good shelter. We're grazing right through the spring, summer and autumn, so we get a lot of benefits of the shelter from the hedges and from the wind and the rain on a bad day, but also a bit of shading from the sun as well. And we're also seeing that the hedges provide some grazing for the cows. You know, the cows do like to sort of get into the hedges and graze bits out of them, and it's quite noticeable that when we're cutting the hedges, you can see, you know, exactly where the grazing point of the cows is. So it's you know, that's just another benefit that we found. I mean, it must be beneficial to them, otherwise they wouldn't do it. So this is some hedges that we've just planted this year, and this was part of a mid-to-year stewardship scheme that we're in, and it'll be the sort of second or third year of our hedge planting. Really driven by the grants that were available, and we have had support from the Woodland Trust with some of the hedge planting. And this particular hedge, so as with most things, you know, you get better at it the more you do it. So this is the third year that we've been doing it. So what we've done here is we just had a digger and we pulled in a bit of soil from sort of both sides to make a bit of a cop, and then we had some volunteers from the National Trust, because we're a National Trust farm, and so we got ourselves organised, and they came along one day, a nice sort of late spring day, and we got I think there was 12-15 of them, and they planted 400 metres of this hedge, about 60% hawthorn, and then we're putting in other. We've got some hazel, some bit of blackthorn, and bit of maple, some dog rose. So, you know, a little bit of a mixture. We've also put some trees in. So we put in some sweet chestnuts and some small leaf limes. And that was something else I'd been to with the Woodland Trust, and you know, oaks. You know, a lot of people are putting oaks in, but so the suggestion was that you put these trees in. I mean, and I was looking, and these, like the sweet chestnut, you know, it could be around for 800 years, which is quite incredible when you know you've planted that little tree, and then that's going to be there in 800 years' time. It makes you think a bit. And then these guards here, these are the recyclable, well, they're not recyclable, they're made out of cardboard, and they're probably about half as much again as the plastic spiral ones you use, but you don't have to take them off, and they will naturally disappear. The ones that we planted last year are still standing up really well. I think they'll probably do, you know, 3 or 4 years, which is all you need. You know, by that time your thorn's going to be out of there. And the benefit we have found is that we've put this wood chip down. So this chip was we chipped up the brash from when we were laying the hedges, and we ran it into a feeder wagon, and then just went along here and conveyed it in to create the mulch to suppress the weed. And we found that these guards stood up to the chip coming off the conveyor much better than the plastic one, so that was another benefit. The places we choose to plant the hedge, so these will be all new hedges. There won't have been hedges here previously, and one of them was a banking where we'd had problems because we're on limestone. We get springs coming up, and the water was coming up, running down the banking, and then across a field that had recently been reseeded, and it sort of gouged out a channel, and it's done it, I don't know exactly, probably, you know, 2 or 3 times in the last 10 years. So by planting the hedge at the bottom of the banking, we'll stop it doing that, because it'll stop the flow of water. And then the hedge here was a field that we sort of split in two. We just had a fence, and one half was just for grazing, and the other one we will grow whole crop and silage on it. What sort of prompted us was that we wanted to do those things for those benefits, but also the grant rate on the mid-tier stewardship that we're in is pretty good actually for planting hedges, and the fact that we got some volunteers, which when you look around, we had the National Trust volunteers, but we had offers from other groups as well. People love planting hedges and trees, and that for us made it a very quick job. I mean, the rest of it was, the digger, the chipping, that was something that the chipping would have had to get rid of the brash anyway, and it was better than putting a match to it. The guards that we use, we got these from a company called Vista. The hedge plants we got from a company over in York called Thorpe Trees, and because we were doing quite a lot, they gave us a bit of a discount on the quantity, so it's well worthwhile, ringing them up. Species wise, what to put in, a hedge, historically would have been for keeping stock in. I mean, that was its main purpose, but we're doing other things with them now. They do keep stock in. We'll always put a fence up as well, while the hedge grows up. But we're also doing it for wildlife. We're doing it for shade and shelter. Doing it for biodiversity. Hopefully in the future, it'll be counted in for our when we're doing our carbon audits, because it's woodland. I think it's adding to the mix of the soil, in that our soils will be very biology heavy, whereas we need them to be more of a fungal balance. And the hedge roots going out, the leaf litter going onto the fields during the autumn, would help to restore that balance.